Last week we talked about the Ascension, the day of Ascension, and its nearness to the day of Pentecost. Of course, this Sunday will be indeed the day of Pentecost. And Pentecost comes from the word in Greek, Pentecosta, which basically means 50th. And this is because it historically is a Jewish holiday, and a Jewish holiday was the 50th day after the Passover. It was a harvest festival, and then later on became associated with the giving of the law on Mount Sinai. So there was a celebration that occurred on the 50th day after Passover, and it was a celebration of a feast day and a harvest day, and also a day of gratefulness to God for the giving of the law. So the disciples, apostles, are gathered together in a room, possibly celebrating this Pentecost festival, when in Christian tradition, the Holy Spirit shows up, comes down in tongues of fire, and lights on the apostles and empowers them to go forth and proclaim the good news of Jesus Christ. So Pentecost became a day in the Christian church when the good news is sent out to all people around the world. And the significance, of course, is in the second chapter of Acts of the Apostles. When Pentecost happens, the people hearing the proclamation all hear it in their own language. And when you listen this Sunday to the reading of the Acts of the Apostles, you'll hear the enumeration of all the different nations that are represented there. We hear in our own language. We are Medes, Elamites, Mesopotamians, etc., 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 sort of the Jewish, the Jerusalem phone book. But nonetheless, when these are proclaimed, when the good news is proclaimed, they all hear in their own language, almost as if the Holy Spirit is some sort of a universal translator, is what they would call it in Star Trek. So therefore, whether or not the apostles themselves were actually speaking in tongues, or if the people were interpreting and hearing in those tongues, we don't know for sure. But nonetheless, somehow the word got out via the power of the Holy Spirit. It is believed in some circles that this was also a reversal of what happened at the Tower of Babel. If you recall the story of the Tower of Babel, that was when God came and confused the languages so that they couldn't complete building the tower that they were building. And therefore they got dispersed into all different areas because they were speaking different languages and couldn't understand each other. So the Holy Spirit at Pentecost undoes that and makes it so that all can hear the good news in their own language, and that separation of different languages is overcome and overwhelmed by the power of the Holy Spirit. So the great 50 days of Easter, what we call Eastertide, conclude here at Pentecost, and we begin what is known as Pentecost season, the season after Pentecost, which lasts for about 25 Sundays. And it becomes a set of Sundays where we talk about the basic life and ministry of Jesus Christ, and leads up finally to the season of Advent. So we hope you'll join us on Sunday for our Pentecost celebration, and may the Holy Spirit be with you all. God bless.